podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is TWiT Live Special number 282, recorded April 19th, 2016. NAB 2016, Day 2. This TWiT Live Special is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you all of the ingredients to cook fresh, delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 2 meals free by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. Hello and welcome to the TWiT Live Special at NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters show in Las Vegas. It's the 2016 edition. Now, we're here with the entire team. Leo Laporte was here, Lisa Laporte. We've got the Know-How crew, the TNT crew, and, we've got a couple of partnerships with LiveView and, of course, with Panasonic and NewTek. We are going to use them all to give you some of the best products, the best services, the best news from the big show here in Las Vegas. So stay tapped because we've got plenty from Vegas.
Hey everybody, I'm here at NAB, this is the National Association of Broadcasters in Las Vegas for 2016, and I have the honor and privilege to stand next to and talk with Bob Woodruff of ABC World News Tonight. How's it going, Bob?
It's doing great. Not a bad place to be. I'm not gambling yet, though.
I know. Well, I usually try and stay away unless I need to break $1 down into quarters. That's my strategy anyways.
So cheap.
I know. What can I say? So first of all, I think it's probably important to kind of start with why you are here. You were just honored with the NAB Distinguished Service Award. But that's not the only thing you've been honored with this year. You've also been honored with the Public Leadership in Neurology Award. This has been quite a year for you.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kinds of things that I would never expect. You know, and sometimes I say that sometimes it's not a bad thing about doing something, you know, it's a tragedy in war, because, you know, there's some things that are things that you would never be recognized for, but certainly not distinguished. I'll have to say that's for sure. But, you know, I've always loved journalists from the very beginning, so it's such an honor to be here.
Absolutely. So to kind of take a step back as far as why you are here, 10 years ago, your life changed. And I think it's an understatement to say that it changed dramatically. Explain a little bit about what happened while you were reporting in Iraq for ABC, like 1 month after becoming the head anchor.
Yeah, I've been covering the war of Iraq and Afghanistan for so many years and been there so many times. And this was the State of the Union was being done by George Bush at the time, President Bush. And I decided to come over and see what he's talking about in Iraq. It's transferring the power over from the U.S. military to the Iraqi military. And so we were in a tank going down the road, me and my cameraman, my producer, and my sound man, and we were hit by an IED, and that kind of changed lives.
Absolutely. Injuries, no doubt, extensive. You were in a coma, a medically induced coma, right, for 9 weeks at that point. How on earth do you make a full recovery from that? I know there's a lot of elements to it.
It's never a full recovery. You know, I don't think people that go, you know, wounds that bad, it's never going to be a full recovery, but it's been a pretty miraculous recovery for me. I think sometimes if the rocks were 1 centimeter in a different direction at that time, maybe I wouldn't even be here right now. If I didn't have the help of all the remarkable, you know, medics and corpsmen with the military that were there at that scene, I don't think I'd be here either. So it's been a tough road, but it's not one that gets back completely to normal, but it's a lot better than ever expected.
Sure. Now, your family, obviously, integral to your recovery. Explain a little bit about just kind of having the support of your wife, and I know your brother, and I mean, this is the kind of support that I have to imagine a lot of people actually don't have.
Yeah, I think I had a couple things. I had a remarkable family. I had ABC stuck by my side, you know, from the very beginning. So that was an advantage I had. You know, there's no real medical proof that you'll be better off and you'll recover faster if you have family around you and friends around you. But I think without question that is a big difference. So if you've got that, I think it does, step up the pace.
Now, your mission now after this entire crazy experience extends definitely beyond your own story to the soldiers who, by and large, on a daily basis, they face these challenges every day. And I'm sure this has brought you kind of closer to the kind of support that they have. Are they getting enough support, do you think, at this point?
I think it's getting better. I mean, back in the very beginning of these wars, they had kinds of wounds that were brand new in this world. The ones of the IED explosions, and they knew very little about traumatic brain injury within the military at that time. But now they've learned tons of it. I don't think any of us ever to say there's being done enough, right? So we are now trying to share that kind of responsibility between the governments. Assistance for them, and then also in the civilian world. So we are raising a lot of money with the foundation that we started to try to match up what the government is accomplishing, but there's other things that need to be done, and that's continuing, probably for the rest of our lifetime.
Yeah, what you're talking about, of course, is the Bob Woodruff Foundation directly aiding, essentially, recovering soldiers during kind of the medical care and then also on returning home. What kind of change have you seen specifically as a result of the work that you've done with the foundation?
I think a lot of things are being learned. I mean, in the very beginning, we wanted to make sure, as you said, that they had the best medical care. But then when they went home, to make sure they had that really, very healthy transition back to their home, because a lot of times they're just ignored when they go back to that world. And now there's a lot of other long-term assistance to them for everything from, issues they have in terms of, there's suicide, and there's divorce and those issues, but also getting jobs, because they really just want to get back to normal the way it was before. They don't ever want to be considered, they don't want any pity. They don't want to be just the heroes. They want to make sure they can go back to the same place, a different place, but to go back to the world that shows their accomplishments and what they've done. And we're seeing that now, and things are starting to change.
That is a long road, to say the least. And then before this experience, I'd say, kind of to cap this off, you had a career. Now you have, I'd say you also have a career, but you have a life purpose. Yeah, you were like, wait a minute, what are you telling me? You have a career, but a big part of what you do now has this greater purpose, this greater meaning. I don't know, explain that a little bit. Like, do you feel... I mean, I heard a little bit of what you were saying on stage before I headed over here. It sounds like your life is much richer, more fuller now as a result, even though the beginning was so tragic.
Right. It's a mix of things now. I'm spending a lot of time now over in Asia, reporting out of Asia for ABC. I'm doing a lot of reporting as well for what's being done for the veterans. That's absolutely the case. We're going to go cover the Invictus Games, which Prince Harry's putting down in Florida, down in Orlando. I'm doing other stories for anyone else who's doing these kinds of stories. We're trying to get them on about the veterans and their needs everywhere that we can. So yeah, it's true. I did say up there on the stage that this is probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. And so again, it's as I said about a different topic before, that there are some good things about the war and there's bad things about the war. And at least this one now, I found a place side by side with those that have served our country and sacrificed as well. So, yeah, that's been it's very worth it.
Absolutely, I have to imagine. Final question, because TWiT, This Week in Tech, we are a technology kind of company. We talk a lot about technology, and obviously, I mean, even in the past 10 years, technology has influenced just journalism in general. There's a lot of citizen journalism, social media, all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about kind of the direction of technology and the direct influence that technology has had over journalism over the past 10 years?
I love it. I mean, now that we can do we can shoot things everywhere and feed anywhere. I mean, now we're shooting from drones, above the scene. We see every kind of camera. We can shoot things on our cell phone. We can edit it right there on our cell phone if we have to, and get things back quickly from places that never was able to even feed, for days. So this is now enabling us to have views about a story from so many people that we have a really good balance that we can create. I mean, the concerns are that when people go out there and do all the shooting and the reporting, if they really research it, do they really get multiple sources and all that? There's no question, which is why we say broadcasting is never going to go away, because that's that's going to be needed forever and it will always be watched. So, but to gather that information, it's technology that makes this not just, it's just widespread, you know, and it's a hell of a lot more fun. It's just so, it's more interesting to use technology to shoot the stories that we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everybody has it basically in their pocket, wherever they happen to be. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, really an honor and a privilege to talk with you today.
For this, yeah, appreciate it.
Congratulations.
I'm talking to Kevin Turner, who's the Senior Communications Manager at Vimeo. He's here at NAB. They have a very nice booth with some comfortable couches, so if you're in Las Vegas and you get tired of sitting on our tuffets, go and hang out on their couches. That's okay, right?
Very nice, the Vimeo studio.
So thanks for coming on. So tell us a little bit about Vimeo and why someone would maybe choose it over something like YouTube.
Yeah, so Vimeo is home to the world's leading video creators, and you know we are really, really committed to zero advertising on our site. So when you're looking at a YouTube versus a Vimeo, for example, we always say YouTube is really great for what it is, for its massive reach, and for really fun and silly cat and dog videos and fails and all that kind of stuff. But when you're looking at really high quality content that's made by all of these amazing people here at NAB, Vimeo really is the home for their content. We have multi-facets to our site. We launched Vimeo On Demand a few years ago, which is our video on demand network where creators can sell their content directly to global fans worldwide. And we have a really generous revenue share where it's a 90-10 split, where Vimeo only keeps 10% and creators keep 90% of their revenue. We also have a branded content studio that we're here talking about. It's called the Vimeo Brand Studio, where Vimeo connects some of the world's largest brands. We've worked with Lincoln, Samsung, Olympus, Lexus, and we connect them with staff pick creators and foster a really awesome relationship between the two of them so that you get amazing shareable branded content.
So you have video on demand and then also a subscription service. Are those separate, So
our subscription service right now is individual channels. So if you go in, you can, as a creator, go in and create a subscription channel yourself. So our use cases that we see for that is a yoga school that wants to do distance yoga. You can do a daily sign up for daily videos, and they'll ping you when they're up, and you can go and download them, watch them, stream them anywhere. And then Vimeo On Demand, the transactional, that's for one piece of content you can purchase. We've also launched Vimeo Original Programming. Our series are starting to get some really amazing traction, really critical acclaim. So yeah, we're just really kind of exploring it all, and we're going really big and really fast right now. It's really exciting.
So you guys have a deal with theaters, like some of your creators' stuff is in theaters now, or has been, or at festivals?
Just launched last week. We announced a partnership with Spotlight. They provide the ad segments for 20 minutes before a film starts in some of the country's best art house cinemas. So in New York City, it's the Angelica Theater. And for that, we're showing one staff pick video to theaters, which is super exciting because, as you know, shorts are really hard to get out there and to get seen. But the shorts that we have on Vimeo are incredible. And our staff pick channel by our amazing human curation team, they do an amazing job, and now we're providing access for those filmmakers for more exposure. And we've also partnered with Spotlight, where brands can come to them that are their clients, and then we'll partner with them to create kind of more content in line with that.
So everybody's been talking about live streaming. We're in the live view booth. Is that something that you guys are involved in, or do you think you're more stuck with staying with the more created, edited, highly produced work?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're really focused on what we're doing in the space, but we're always looking at different options. Live streaming isn't necessarily a new thing, and I think this was a conscious decision of ours to focus on what we do best. Yeah. And we're also a really small and lean team, to be just perfectly honest. YouTube has the size of thousands and thousands of developers, and we're under 200 people. Mm-hmm. but we're always looking at it, and there are talks of what we can do in the future, so we're definitely looking at it.
So as you've been walking the floor, have you seen any cool new cameras, things that would be great for creators that work on Vimeo?
God. I was just walking around and I saw a giant 8K booth. And I was like, 8K, we haven't even gotten 4K. Like, let's chill until we have widespread adoption on 4K. But that's so exciting. And to see just the resolution. And I was standing in front of a television in the Sony booth, and I was just watching a Katy Perry concert that they had on loop because it was just so beautiful in HD and HDR enabled television and 4K, and the amount that creators can now control, and a trend that I'm seeing here is HDR is just exploding. And I think that's such a great thing for creators because it provides such a level of control where we're so focused on more and more pixels, let's cram more and more pixels as we can, but now you can control that brightness and you can control that color and really manipulate the image to get it the most beautiful thing, where if you're looking at a sunset on a television that was shot with a 4K camera and then HDR enabled television, you look at it and you're like, am I actually looking at a sunset right now?
Yeah.
So I think that's super, super exciting for us.
Yeah. What about 360 degree video? Is that something that people do on Vimeo?
So we have a partnership with Oculus right now. We're in the Oculus Cinema, so it's like if you put on your Gear headset, you're watching. We have Staff Picks channel on Oculus where you can go in and watch our Staff Picks channel, and it's like you can watch on the moon, you can watch in a theater. But right now we don't have 360 or VR specific, but it's something that we're definitely looking at and hope to be getting into hopefully soon.
Yeah. So what drew you to Vimeo? Like, I know you had, I was looking at your resume, you've been at MTV, you've worked on a lot of events. What inspired you to work at Vimeo?
I mean, I was really, really taken with just how beautiful and clean and amazing the site is and how dedicated they are to their users. I've never worked at a company that is so beholden to their community and really, really listens to what the community wants. I think a lot of time companies decide what the community wants and what they need, but we really listen and we take feedback. I was really impressed with that humans interact with people there, where you send an email to somebody if you have a support question and humans get back to you within 24 hours. And just we always say chill vibes, good vibes, be nice, play nice. And I think that really goes along, that ethos really spoke to me. And I mean, I'm such a huge fan of film and video and television. I'm a huge consumer of it. And Vimeo is doing really, really exciting things, and specifically in the content space. And so being at a forward-thinking company like that was super important to me.
It's really interesting. I mean, you're not a new company. You've been around since 2004, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we always think about like, just build the biggest community, get the most people working for you, be big, get big fast. But Vimeo is a good example of a lean company that's just been doing great things, helping creators, and in the shadow of the bigger video creators, but just doing something that's really needed that people, consumers and creators, appreciate.
Yeah, and I think it's about engagement. The fact that we have a community that loves the product. And I know it sounds like, and we do drink the Kool-Aid real hard. It's on tap at Vimeo. And I know I'm spewing it out right now, but being in the booth and just having all these creators and engineers and everybody come up to me and be like, Vimeo, I love you guys. We've never been on the show floor here. We've always done smaller activations. So finally being on the show floor here, it's amazing. And that engagement's so important. If you compare comments on a YouTube video to comments on a Vimeo video, it's, you see the worst of the world, and then on Vimeo you see people asking like, hey, this is such a beautiful shot. What lens did you use? Or how did you light this shot? That's so interesting, as opposed to go to hell and blah, 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 whatever.
That's probably the nicest thing you might hear.
Yeah, exactly. Nice PC for the live stream, but yeah.
That's great. So how are people really consuming the content? Is it mostly mobile? Are people watching it on larger screens? I know we talked about theaters, but how are people, is it everything? How are people mostly consuming Vimeo videos?
So we're like about half and half right now, mobile versus desktop. mobile just continues to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. People watching on the go, from social feeds, from sharing a quick video here and there. But we still see a lot of people saving and maybe starting to watch a video on mobile, but we have an option, watch later, because this is too pretty to watch on my phone. Because when you have a person with a craft like filmmaking, they want you to experience it on the biggest, best screen possible. But sometimes that's not possible, and we're totally cool with that, and we love, our mobile app is amazing. We just redesigned Android and iOS, and especially with the updates that are coming to new phones every year, it's just making mobile viewing even better. So we're about half and half right now, which is really crazy.
And how about Apple TV, Roku? Can you watch on any of those platforms?
And we just announced last month we redid our Roku app, and so now you can purchase directly on Roku. You can buy titles, and you can watch still everything that was free on Vimeo. And Apple TV, we're working on a new app for the new iOS, and I just saw a preview of it, and it's gorgeous. No date on that yet, but yeah, that's an amazing new venture for us in connected devices.
And one question before you go, it's how do you cut through? How do you find the content? Like, how would you recommend someone who is just like, oh wow, they're listening to this now, and Vimeo wasn't a place where I would have thought to look. And what's the best way to find content that people might want to watch?
I would just start at Vimeo staff picks. We have a curation team based in New York City. And a team in London, and they look for all of the best content that's out there. They watch videos all day, and they maintain the relationships with these amazing creators that go on to have these massive careers. And it's really amazing to see their short content. I think that that's playing right now. So yeah, go check out staff picks. You can get lost in a staff picks hole like I often do. I hope my boss isn't listening, but like I often do at work.
Well, thank you so much. Kevin Turner is the Senior Communications Manager at Vimeo. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
For most camera enthusiasts, their DSLR is, well, it's a religion. It's a choice that they make and they live with for the rest of their lives, which is why it was a fascinating thing when this last year suddenly we had a disturbance in the force. Many photo enthusiasts, including our very own Leo Laporte, switched from Canon or Nikon to Sony. I'm speaking with Eldine from Sony, who's going to explain why the 7 series is a phenomenon. Eldine, what is the A7?
Okay, so first of all, you mentioned those other cameras were DSLRs. Number one, first and foremost, this is a mirrorless camera, right? So really what makes a camera special is lens sensor processor. Mirrors that move in between usually get in the way and don't really do everything that the camera needs it to do. Plus new technology, new material sciences allow us to do the things that the mirror was there in the first place. So the mirror is really only for 2 reasons. One is to reflect light into an autofocus sensor, and the other one is to reflect light into a viewfinder, an optical viewfinder. So if you can eliminate those and you can make the camera focus faster by itself with better technology, and you can give it a higher resolution viewfinder that rivals anything optical out there, plus give it other benefits, then there's no reason to have a DSLR anymore. So hence, the mirrorless camera is now taken over where DSLRs left off.
But it's not just that, because people have been raving. All the experts have been saying that this series is what they've been waiting for. It's a no-compromise camera. It's got very little noise. It's got a fantastic frame rate. It does video as well as it does still. What did you have to do to make that quantum leap in photography technology?
Okay, so that's a really, really good question. And one of the things you got to understand is that Sony is the leader in sensor manufacturing, right? We make sensors for everything from cell phones, and some of the biggest, fruit brands use our, cameras for in their cell phones. Everything up to the F-65s where we are shooting motion picture. So we have everything from a small little cell phone sensor, the action cam, POV camera with our sensors. DSLRs we make for other companies as well. We make their DSLR sensors, we make our sensors. So we're a sensor manufacturing company, and we have the best sensor technology in the industry. Taking that sensor technology and matching it with the best lenses in the industry now give you what I was saying before, that lens sensor processor combination. That allows us to give you the best possible image quality in the market, and then add all features that are not possible with traditional cameras. Adding features on that traditional cameras, traditional DSLRs just can't do. And that's really where I think most people are adopting it. over and above that, giving you a system that allows you not only to expand within the Sony system, but also outside. So you know that you invest in lenses, and you may have invested in lenses. You may have lenses from cameras that you haven't used in decades because there aren't cameras to fit those lenses. The E-mount system actually allows you to adapt other lenses onto this camera. So for instance, we're going from E-mount to our Sony A-mount lenses. We're going from E-mount to other brands of DSLRs. We're going from E-mount to PL lenses. So this really makes it an open system camera. So you're not bogged down by, oh, I've invested in XYZ brand. I have to stick with their cameras, even if they're not doing anything to come out with new technology, right? So now if we can come out with new technology and you can say, oh, I could use that lens, great, no problem.
Now, the 7 Series is wonderful. Leo Laporte swears by it. But I can understand some of our audience members are saying, we like that camera. It's a little out of our price range. We would like to do some production, maybe in areas where I wouldn't trust with my expensive camera. Yep. You do have something else here that might be for them. Tell me a little bit about this.
Okay, so this is like a really interesting camera. This is our action cam. We have a number of different action cams. This one is the X1000. This is actually a 4K point of view camera. It's really, really small. What's really neat with the action cam is that it's water resistant on the outside, not waterproof. We do have water housings that you can dive down to about 200 feet with, but this has a quarter 20 mount. So standard mount, Zeiss lens, XMOR CMOS sensor. This will shoot exactly the same 4K codec as what you're going to see on the higher end cameras. Not only on this, but also going up to the higher end cameras like the FS7s, the FS5s. So the XAVCS codec, even on this tiny, tiny little camera, Zeiss lens, low light sensor, 100 megabit per second, 4K internal. This has time code. It's got color profiles, like it's white balance profiles that match some of the color profiles. This little camera is completely capable, and at $500, including the smartwatch, or $399 without, it's an incredible value for money. Image stabilization, stereo microphone. So this is the literally little go anywhere crash cam, action cam. Buy a dozen of these and use them in your production.
What I really like about this is the watch can actually be worn on your wrist when you're surfing. So you can have the camera in a housing on the front of the board, and you can start and stop and monitor your feed in real time.
Yeah, so for instance, if I'm going to be racing a car, if I'm going to be surfing, if I'm going to be in the water, whitewater rafting, I may not want to take my cell phone with me. In fact, I'm not going to because I don't want to damage it. However, with a smartwatch, what I can do is I can control up to 5 cameras. I can scroll between them. It connects to the camera via Wi-Fi, so I can actually see what the camera is seeing. So let's say, for instance, I'm sitting in a raft and I have 5 cameras surrounded around me. I can check each one. They're all on. They're all in the right position, and then I can actually start them synchronized with time codes from the watch.
And for $500, that's a very low price point to enter into the Sony world.
That is correct. And then from there, we just go up. From there, we go into our Handycam series, where we've got balanced optical steady shot. We go into our RX, our CyberShot RX series, or the 1-inch size sensors. And keep in mind, these cameras all shoot the same codec, right? So integrating the cameras into one workflow all works together. So shooting it from that, go up to a 1-inch sensor with Zeiss lenses or G lenses with, right now we have the RX10 Mark III, which now features not only a 1-inch sensor, but a 24 to 600 millimeter Zeiss lens, G lens. Yep.
All right, now, if the folks at home wanted to find out more about the 7 Series, more about the action camera, more about everything that Sony has to offer, where can they go?
Okay, so first and foremost, www.sony.com is obviously where you're getting a lot of information about Sony. If you want to find out more about our camera division and find out more about what our artisans are doing, a lot of the events that we're promoting, and also any brand new technology, any announcements that are coming out, make sure you check out www.alphauniverse.com.
Eldin, thank you very much for speaking with us. Thank you for sharing your technology. Folks, here at Sony, the future is clear.
All right, we're here at NAB, wandering the halls, and we are surrounded by cameras here at the Zcam booth. Kinson Liu is joining me here to kind of tell us all about what we're seeing here. How's it going, Kinson?
Very good. As you can see, a lot of people come to our booth to check out our Zcam Sync technology, which allows bullet time shooting. Make it very easy.
Okay, so explain that a little bit. So you were telling me it's kind of like the Matrix effect. How are you pulling this off?
We actually synchronize all 48 cameras in a very precise manner. So when we shoot, we can shoot with all the 48 cameras simultaneously, and then we can compose it right away, and then we can come out with the bullet time-like effect. Not like in the past, in the past, bullet time normally cost, a lot of time, very time-consuming process, and it also costs a lot on post-processing as well. So because the fact that we can synchronize all these cameras, as you can see, all these camera modules, the C1 modules, we do it in a very lightweight and small size form factor. So it's very easy to install. So we make the complication work in a much easier and simple manner. And it's also the post-processing. So as you can see, some of the other visitors, they come in here, we shoot a picture for them, and then we can do the post-processing in a minute or so. So then the people can actually see the effect without waiting for too long.
Excellent. So that's really, and you also get a little bit of full motion video there, not just the still that I feel like I've seen many times in the past.
Yeah, we can actually do more than the conventional type of bullet time. So we can actually do it in a continuous movement manner within that 1 or 2 seconds.
Now behind you here, we'll kind of move a little bit this way. This is obviously a surround camera of some sort for, I'm imagining, immersive video, 360-degree video, perfect for VR, that sort of thing. What are we looking at here?
Perfect for VR, that's the thing. This is the Cam Surround 1. It's our first surround video capture system. And we try to offer it at a very affordable price, but high quality. So this is going to be positioned at, the indicative price is $999. With 4 high-quality fisheye lenses using Sony image sensors inside. So it allows 4K HDMI output. And then people may choose to do their own video stitching, or if they come to buy our bundle package at $1,499, they can actually go away with the equipment plus the video stitching software. Because we need to synchronize all these 4 cameras very precisely in order to come up with that effect.
That really seems to be your thing here, is this like precise synchronization to make all of these cameras kind of sing together. Exactly. Yeah, that's a pretty impressive stuff.
The E1 camera that we launched last year here in NAB, and this is now on shelf in the major channels here in the United States and also in Europe.
I mean, it's a tight little package. What is its strength?
This is probably one of the smallest, if not the smallest, micro four thirds 4K interchangeable lens camera. It performs very well in the low light condition because the fact that it's so compact and small. The professional people, they will find a lot of applications. Either they want to put it onto the drone. Some of our customers actually bought it to compose their own kind of VR capture devices. Myself, I use it for leisure because it's so handy. I can always carry it around with me.
Portability is key these days.
It's key in these days, yeah.
Excellent. Kinson Liu of Zcam. It's really an honor to talk with you today. Thanks for showing us all of your awesome products.
Thank you.
We're going to get right back to our coverage of NAB 2016 in Las Vegas, Nevada. But before we do that, let's go ahead and thank the sponsor of this TWiT Live special. And it's one I know you're going to love because it's all about food. Now, let me ask you, how do you eat? Well, if you're like a lot of geeks, you probably don't eat all that healthy. You find what you can find. I mean, we're busy people. We got things to do. We have servers that need to be fixed. We have games that need to be played. You don't need to be worrying about what you're going to eat, and you definitely don't want to be eating junk food all the time, which is why we're so happy to have Blue Apron as a sponsor of this TWiT Live special. Blue Apron has you covered. For less than $10 a meal, Blue Apron will deliver all the fresh ingredients you need to create home-cooked meals. I'm not talking about a microwave dinner here. I'm talking about things that are succulent, that are healthy, food that you can be proud of eating. Now, each meal can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. You just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. They give you, again, all those fresh ingredients so you can make sure that everything just is perfect for you or your loved one. There are no overwhelming trips to the grocery store. There's no more expensive takeout. Not only will you feel that you know your way around the kitchen, because that's really what they're doing. They're training you to cook food. But cooking at home means eating healthier and saving money. And no matter your dietary preference, Blue Apron makes it a breeze to discover and prepare dishes like Korean bao sliders or za'atar chicken right in your own kitchen. You probably never thought that you would be making fancy food. Well, with Blue Apron, not only will you be making fancy food, but in no time at all, you'll know your way around a frying pan. Cook with ingredients that you've never used before, like watermelon radishes, like yuzu juice, and labneh cheese. I don't even know how to spell that, but it sounds delicious. Recipes are between 500 and 700 calories per portion. It's delicious and it's good for you. I can't stress enough, folks. If you eat, so I'm pretty sure that includes all of you, you need to start looking at a better way to eat. You need to look at Blue Apron. Right now, you can get your first 2 meals free just by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. Check out this week's menu and get your first 2 meals free by going to blueapron.com/twit. And we thank Blue Apron for their delicious, delicious support. Conventional wisdom tells us that rail shots are expensive, complicated, and not for, well, the amateur. Well, here at Syrp, they're here to prove that that conventional wisdom is wrong. I'm speaking with Ben, who's going to show us why the Genie and the Genie Mini is your next gear of lust. Ben, what is the Genie?
So yeah, the Genie is a really, really portable solution for motion control, time-lapse, or video. So it's basically this one simple box, and it basically clicks out and clicks into different film equipment. So I can put this onto a slider or a tripod. So if I click it into a slider here, I can now control everything to move along a track for motion control, time-lapse, or video. And then I can just unclick the same unit and put it onto a tripod. And now I'm setting everything up on a tripod to shoot time-lapse or video motion in a panning direction. So it's either for panning motion or linear motion in its sort of simplest form.
What I really like about this is we can see here, this track, this camera is just going back and forth, and it will pan the camera according to an app. So you've got an easy-to-use app that will allow you to set speed. It will allow you to set how many degrees it's going to be spinning. It will even let you determine distance, how far down the track you want it to go. And then I can pop the entire unit off and use it as a time-lapse PTZ. What gave you the idea to make this modular design? Because I've seen products like this, but they always lock you in. It's their rail, it's their tripod, it's their camera. You've given us a system that will work with all the gear that I currently own.
Yeah, exactly. So when we built this thing, we really wanted to focus on, what people need to add to their kit. So lots of people already have sliders. Everyone's got a slider. So rather than, you can buy our slider. I mean, we do sliders as well, but you can just buy the Genie and click it into your own slider and then add motion that way. So that's the single axis way that we can add motion. And then we can also put the Genie Mini on top, and then it becomes app controlled. So then everything's wirelessly controlled. We can even link 2 Genie Minis together to do 3 axis, like this one's doing here. And then everything's controlled on the app for pan, tilt, and track motion.
And I really like that part, where I can start with the basic module. I can add a Mini if I want to give myself movement in this axis, add another Mini if I want to give myself some X action here. Now, tell me, where else are you going to go with this? Because the modular system, the beauty of that kind of a design is you can add on accessories as you go. What's the next big accessory?
Well, the next big accessory is a slingshot, which is our cable cam product. So yeah, this is a new product for us. I guess when we built the Genie, we had a lot of users building their own systems. Because you can use a Genie on anything, we had users building big, long cable cams, using them on skateboards, using the Genie on literally anything they can build, so a big DIY community. And one of the biggest demands that we had was for a professional cable cam. So we've built our own now. So you can sling this up like up to 100 meters or 300 feet. You could, between buildings, across a lake, like wherever, and go really, really, really long for those super long motion shots. So this is a very unique type of shot that you can get. I'm not aware of really any other company that can do a time lapse that long. So yeah, it's like a really, really cool shot.
You were telling me earlier that the battery life can be anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, depending on which unit you're using. Now, let's ask the difficult question here. We've got audience members who are going to be wondering where they get one of these and how much they cost. We were just in a booth on the other side of the hall that had a similar rail system that cost about $4,500. If I wanted to get a Genie from Syrp, how much would it set me back?
So the Genie is $789 US. So that includes everything, the panning accessory, the linear accessory, and a cable. So you can literally attach that to any slider or whatever you want for $789. So yeah, pretty cheap. And then you can go, the Mini is $249, and the bracket is $89. So for a full 3-axis motion kit, you're looking at about $1,200 to $1,500.
That's unbelievable. So one of the best features I've seen, and also the lowest price in the hall. Ben, if they wanted to find out more about Syrp, if they wanted to find out more about the Genie Mini, about all of the accessories that you offer, where can they go?
Yeah, so our website's syrp.co.nz, so www.syrp.co.nz.
Thank you again for speaking with us. Thank you for sharing your tech. And folks, the future of pan, tilt, and zoom needs a Genie.
Today we're talking to John Stoltz. He's from Network Innovations, Vice President of the Media Sector. Okay, tell us what Network Innovations does.
So Network Innovations is a satellite communications company. We provide satellite internet broadband anywhere on the planet. We partner with companies such as LiveView to use their IP encoder, and they use the cellular network, and we provide the satellite when there isn't cellular networks in a case of, say, it's a remote or rural area or a disaster-struck area. Could be used in Paris, Brussels, Boston, Nepal, areas like this. So we provide basically satellite internet is what we do.
Awesome. And how long have you been around?
1988, so whatever that is, almost 30 years.
Yeah,
I don't want to do
time.
that.
Yeah, I know when I used to be on Tech TV and we were a cable network, and a lot of people could just get us through satellite. So, it was when, lots of channels, and there was, satellite was, you didn't hear about it a lot in the big cities, but it's been around for a long time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what drew you to this work?
Well, I actually started in the cellular communications business, and I moved back to Chicago, and I started working for this company that made the first portable video encoder over satellite. So that was in the late 90s, so LiveView came along many years later, and so I was kind of in that industry, and never thought in a million years I would be in the satellite industry. But it's just been an evolution, much like your cell phones. Your first cell phone, and now you got a smartphone. So everything just evolves, and our customers are CNN, BBC, Sky News, and we provide these turnkey solutions for them. So we provide them satellite hardware, satellite airtime, and then terrestrial connectivity back to their studio. So that provides them an end-to-end HD or SD shot. It can be as small as a laptop computer, or it can be a suitcase-sized piece of equipment. So we'll sell them the equipment and the airtime. So kind of like a cell phone company, we provide you a turnkey solution. We sell you the phone and a service plan.
So what brings you to NAB? Like who are the people that you are checking out or looking at or wanting to talk to at NAB?
Well, obviously customers come first always. So you go through all the three-letter customers, and then you work on working with your partner relationships. We have a very strong relationship with LiveView, being a bonded cellular and one of the first adopters. We meet with our suppliers, make sure that our customers' requests are being taken care of. This is now my 18th NAB, and every year it's the same people, so it's kind of like a family reunion or a fraternity reunion. So we have a lot of fun, we don't get a lot of sleep, and we make the best of it. So the priority is always on the client.
Yeah. And so, live streaming has really changed. Obviously it's been around, like networks have been streaming live content forever. You've been around for a long time. What do you think about all the new changes with people, consumers, average people picking up their cell phone and streaming live? What do you think about that?
It's good for me,
yeah.
Personally, because you've got all these bonded cellular companies like LiveView, but then they're actually competing against citizens. I'm walking around at a trade show trying to Skype or FaceTime with my children. They're congesting that network. So the more of these they sell, when you get to an area where they need to have a live shot, they're actually broadcasters are competing with citizen journalists, if you will. And okay, it might not be a citizen journalist. It might just be I'm Skyping or FaceTiming with my kids.
Yeah.
Or they want to. They're at some place where, whether it's a Trump rally or a disaster, where they get some video and they want to get it onto social media. So it's really everybody's. We can do a lot today that with smartphone technology that we couldn't do before. So it's really it's great. In LiveView and other companies where they put IP into the field, it's IP encoders. And what you're seeing now is in the broadcast industry is fewer people. I don't know if you remember back in the late 80s, there was a Saturday Night Live skit called with Al Franken called The Mobile One-Man Uplink. And that's because the NBC engineers went on strike, and so they said, well, all these guys got to do it themselves. So Al put a dish on his head and a camera on his shoulder and a microphone, and so little did I know when I was a teenager that was going to be my career goal. And we have it now today. We can have one guy go in the field and do it all. So it's much more mobile. There's an insatiable need for broadband and internet. Particularly with the millennials coming up, it's it's like heroin to them. If they don't have it, they get twitchy. What do you mean I got to be on 3G? Or how come I can't get Wi-Fi here? So we just all need that internet. And so, I'm here to help provide that, as a backup for cellular or as a primary in areas that there is no cellular connectivity. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big issue. There are a lot of, we think about it, especially in the big cities, how, we go into a part of a house that doesn't have internet and, we just move a little bit and we have it. But there are large parts of the United States, like large parts of the world, that really don't have this access. But is that something, are you a global company or are you mostly?
Yeah, we are. We're based out of Calgary, Canada. We've got offices in the U.S., Europe, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. So that really helps. We can deploy equipment regionally for certain events, and we've got different internet pops across the world that allows our customers to have a shorter meet-me point. I think one of the big things, all internet is not the same. We don't provide consumer residential broadband. That's not what we do. We're providing a first-class service. We don't contend with anyone. Broadcasters don't want to go from broadband to HD to SD. No viewer wants to see that. So we sell first-class tickets on a first-class satellite service. So it's a little bit different than the consumer kind of market, and we're not for everybody. That's why we have the big three-letter broadcasters such as CNN and Sky, BBC, Fox, all of them. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have with you today.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you, John. John Stoltz.
Network Innovations.
John Stoltz from
Go
Network
to
Innovations.
www.onemanaplink.com.
Onemanaplink.com. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
If you live in the world of video, you know that your gear is precious. And you need something to protect it, to make sure that it's padded, to make sure that you can transport it from gig to gig, which is why I, along with most other professionals, choose Pelican. This is the case that I use to travel with my podcasting gear. It's the largest case available that you can bring onto a plane, but I also use the larger sizes to move everything from a TriCaster to my multiple camera setup. Now, if you like Pelican, you're going to love the Pelican Air. I'm here with Kevin Murphy, who's going to explain why Pelican has taken some of the weight out of your favorite case. Kevin, what is Pelican Air?
It's the lightest protector case on the planet. It has up to 40% less weight because we've worked for the last couple of years to really drive out all of the weight. A lot of redesign going on in the case, lighter material, HPX2 resin, and also just from our legacy, we know how to build these things and test them with military, fire services, law enforcement. These are the kind of people who really taught us how to build rugged cases. Now we've figured out how to do the same thing with the same lifetime guarantee, but make it much lighter.
Let's talk a little bit about that history, because it is a rich history. This is why people trust Pelican, because your cases have been used to protect everything from military hardware to the most sensitive of microelectronics. What makes the Pelican brand so, synonymous with strength and protection?
Well, it's all about, as you say, our customers that drove us to build the toughest case in the world. So the Pelican Protector case, we're like a Kleenex. We're the descriptor for the category. People look at a Pelican case, that's what they expect. Something that can really hold up. They throw them out of helicopters. They've survived tsunamis. We've seen all kinds of crazy stories. So it's a part of our survival stories series. It's really what Pelican's all about.
Now, let's go back over some of that technology, because there have been other entries into this industry, and most of them have had to pivot away because, Pelican takes the lion's share of the business. What is it about your design specifically that has allowed it to last for so long and has been, the popular choice for professionals?
Well, here's the 1535. This is a travel carry-on size case. Here it's got the new premium padded divider set, and we've done quite a few things to try to improve the performance of this. One is adding a new business card holder. So you can just slip this out and put your own business card inside of the holder. It can be placed also in the end position here so that you can have it on a rack, on a shelf, and be able to see what the contents are. Now this case is about 30% lighter than our original 1510 carry-on size. And once you remove that, you can see the inside is all been cored out. You can see examples like in the latch here, where it's got the exoskeleton design, in the handle especially. Here it's got a totally hollow handle and a honeycomb design in the trolley handle. So everything's just become much, much lighter overall. And still
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this, because here are two sizes that are just about the same. They're designed both to be carried onto a plane, and as you can see, although I love the original, the new one, the Air, looks so much lighter. And when I lifted this up, I was shocked, because it really is about 40% less weight for what you say is the same amount of strength. How does that work?
Well, it's about removing material only in the flat areas. We also use a new material called HPX2, and that material is lighter. We hired material scientists who were able to really engineer a new material. So it has a little bit more rebound. It'll take impact and bounce off versus shattering. So we've worked a lot on the material choices as well.
All right, now here's the brass tacks question, because I know there's a lot of people out there like me who are kind of muttering under our breaths because now we have to replace all of our Pelican cases. When are these going to be available? How much are they going to cost from the series on up?
Well, they're actually designed price-wise to fit right inside of our line. So depending on cubic volume, if it's a little bit bigger case than what you have now, you'll find the price just slightly more. Same for going down the size. So it's all very equivalent to what you expect to pay for a Pelican case. I'll also tell you, though, that we're going to have a new trade-in program. So if you do have Pelican cases, you can get a 30% off by trading in your old Pelican case, or heck, bring us our competitors. We'll take any of those as well. So up to 30% for about the next 3 months.
Okay, you just made my day. For the folks at home, could you please tell them where they can find out more about the new series of Pelicans, and especially tell them where they can find out about this trade-in program, because I know they're going to want to know.
It's pelican.com/air, and we'll have the list of all the participating dealers for that on that site.
Kevin, thank you so very much for improving the gear that we all trust our toys to. Folks, if you need to fly, you got to try a Pelican.
All right, we're here at the GoPro booth with Jim from GoPro. He's the head of kind of the professional marketing of GoPro products. And we've got some really cool kind of VR, kind of immersive video things happening with GoPro right now. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we have a lot going on today. Obviously, we released Omni, which is our 6-camera synced spherical capture solution. We have here solving a lot of the pain points today that people have been shooting with GoPro with third-party kind of plastic holders, is that they weren't synced. And everybody knows, in terms of stitching and post-production, having a master camera and all the other cameras synced together, Genlock, is really important for the entire workflow of that. So we basically have Omni here, which is one camera master, and all the others are synced to this master camera. So when I hit the shutter button, they all act in unison. When I set up one mode on the master camera, they all ripple down to the others. So this is tried and true. These are using 6 Hero 4 Black Edition cameras. What we have here with the Omni 2 is we have this traditional rig that you would have. Allows us to use external power now, so we don't have to use the internal power of GoPro batteries, so you can run on a much longer professional battery solution for V-mount. So it gives you a lot longer runtime. So we actually have a full kit with the Omni rig. It's basically what solve media, cameras, the rig itself, the actual stitching license for color AVP. So it's really looking at a professional solution from end to end, from capture through to stitch and distribution.
Now, the stitching is not necessarily happening at the point of record, right? It's all being recorded independently, and then that stitching is happening later. What, on the PC with your software?
Your Mac or PC with the Color AVP, which is a desktop solution, is that you would offload the media through the Color AVP software. It would help you manage that media and get it into where you would stitch it. Very traditional, what people are used to today, Color being one of the most popular stitching solutions out there, is that the Color software is also optimized for this orientation of the rig. So everything from dealing with the exposure, color correction in terms of that, we've optimized it for this new Omni rig.
Okay, and now I can't help but notice that over in the front of your booth, you've got the little guy And then you've got the Odyssey, which is like this on steroids. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the difference between this orientation camera and the Odyssey is there's also different styles of shooting and what you would for is that. So this is traditional 360 by 180 spherical capture where you would have an equirectangular file, which people normally see either in Tiny Plan or anything like that. The partnership with Odyssey is that is the first Google Jump ready camera. So the orientation of having more of a cylindrical pano stereo rig, we partnered with Odyssey for the Jump platform. And basically you would acquire images on the Odyssey rig, and then you would stitch in the cloud with Google Jump and be able to use their algorithm to offset your stereo output for the Jump platform. And the use cases are different in terms of them. There's not one way or wrong way to say you have to shoot this for immersive capture or this. There's going to be different studio solutions, different news gathering and doc over why you may want to use one rig over the other, and that's for the user to decide what's going to best fit either their project or their story or their film or their news workflow. So we're trying to solve a lot of different issues for immersive capture and storytelling today.
In general, GoPro, just as a company, you guys have your hands in so many things, so it's really impressive to see kind of the width and breadth of products that you guys are putting out. Something like this, head mountable for like action sports, that sort of thing?
Totally is. Why wouldn't we not keep an eye on our birth from action sports and kind of surfing, skateboarding, moto? Is this, yes, we have footage of even some of skiing that we have over there where there is a head-mounted Omni. So yes, this is much lighter.
Big,
yeah, but yes, you can mount it in some traditional styles that you would be of that. Obviously, in kind of like a three-way with a pole mount for kind of the follow me look or third person. And then the first person perspective of mounting it on here. That's why we have a 1/4-20 mount on there. And the cool thing about it is the ecosystem is that having a tried and true professional solution of using 1/4-20, it's adaptable to a lot of the existing grip or GoPro accessories you may already have. Right. So it's really big.
All right, so then the final question, obviously the big question for something like this, what we're looking at right here, cost. What's this going to set people back?
More than just what this is.
I'm sure there is.
So the full kit for Omni is $5,000 US. That would solve everything from the cameras, the rig, the media, the power solution, accessories, and the software license. And then actually the one part we didn't talk about is distribution. Where do you put all this stuff once you've shot it and stitched it? And we also launched GoPro VR this morning as well. So that's either through the web or iOS or Android. It's a downloadable app. So you can take all this acquired stitched footage that you have and then put it on the GoPro VR platform. You can either share that with clients or friends or family or just your viewership. And then you can say, hey, download the GoPro VR app and look at the content that's on there. Or partner with GoPro either through our developers program or our entertainment side of our company and look at more of the in-depth partnerships that we're doing with a lot of the entertainment companies out there and people developing for GoPro systems.
Super exciting stuff. I love all of this immersive footage, especially when you combine that with like action sports. I think you guys are doing some great stuff here. Jim, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Bye. Thank you.
One of the big stories at NAB 2015 was the Solo from 3DR. It was the promise of having a drone that you wouldn't have to replace every year, one that you could have mission modules that could be replaced, so you could change your drone from a sport flyer to a videography platform, even to, say, an infrared detection unit. Well, it took a little longer to get the technology perfected, but thankfully, it's here now. I'm speaking with Colin Gwynn from 3DR. Colin, you did a fantastic demonstration for us last year where you actually flew the Solo in the 3DR cage. It was an amazing machine. The ability to, even in this horrible, horrible environment where everything is jammed and we don't get GPS signal, of having the craft basically pilot itself. You say take off, you say fly this path, and then it does it for you. How has it been this last year? Because I know you've had to really sort of refine the technology. What has 3DR been busy at the last 12 months?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, so first, thanks for having me on the show. It's always good to chat. And I can say that it's been an exciting year. we bit off a big challenge
Yes.
in trying to create something that's not just another Me Too drone, that really does something different, that can really be a platform that allows our users to grow with the experience. And our vision for Solo was the ability to have somebody either own a Solo or a couple of Solos and have them outfitted in different ways, just depending on what you're looking to accomplish, right? It's more of developing the drone around the user experience instead of, hey, we've got some cool technology, let's try to package it into a drone and sell it. It was more, what do users want to do with these things, and what do our users want, and how can we solve for that? And we knew that we wouldn't be able to develop all the different technologies ourselves. And so from the beginning, when we first started laying out what Solo would be, we wanted to make sure that there was an accessory bay. We wanted to make sure that there was a gimbal bay, that it didn't just have a built-in camera, one single camera. We wanted to make sure the battery wasn't captured so that there could be slightly different shapes if needed. And what that allowed for is for us to start working with other partners. So this year the story is all about, hey, last year we announced the product and we said we're going to make this better and better, and this is just the very beginning, because we've got these powerful Linux computers on board, we've got a powerful Linux computer in your hand, and those two computers work together to kind of drive the entire experience. And now we're actually starting to utilize a lot more of that, because so Kodak has a new 360 virtual reality rig set up, so there's actually a 360 camera on top and bottom, and then it stitches out all the props and legs, so you have a full, perfect spherical view with no dark spot anywhere. We've got the FLIR view working on a gimbal that's commanded by our onboard computer, so now you can do smart shots and orbits and multi-point cable cams. So if you're doing certain types of search grids and things like that, working with the FLIR camera instead of just visual. Same thing, we're integrating with Parrot's new Sequoia for NDVI and multispectral. We're working with Sony. We just released very recently a new camera called the RC10C with Sony, which is an APS-C size sensor, 20 megapixel imager for high quality photomosaics, and that's on the imaging side. Then you've got super bright LED lights from Felix that come by our booth. There's some videos of what you can do.
That's
with
a new
the light.
use case that we're seeing here at NAB.
Very cool.
The ability to basically have a light tower that you can hover exactly where you want it, and you get perfect lighting even in the middle of the night.
That's right. You combine that with a tether, and now you can put a light up in the air for 6 hours, no problem. We flew that Solo on a tether for 43 days straight. Kept it in the air.
Yeah, all right. That's proven tech.
It's
Yeah. There are some people who might say that the greatest strength of the Solo is also the one that keeps it in development for so long, which is we see drones that might be cargo drones that you can strap a camera to, or they might be camera drones that you might be able to modify for cargo, but they're definitely created for a specific purpose.
Exactly.
Whereas the Solo, the most ambitious part was this idea of the accessory bay.
Yes.
I want to give you a bare bones platform with high capabilities that has a mission computer that you can tell what the drone should be doing, and then you strap on the module, whatever it's going to be, the PTZ for the camera, or the cargo bay holding the FLIR, or the extra battery that's going to light up 10,000 lumens of light from LED sources.
That's right.
But in doing that, you've essentially guaranteed that you will never reach the end of development.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point of it, is that we didn't want to look at it as a one and done type deal. Okay, whatever we can finish by this date, Solo is what Solo is. Now let's hurry up and start on Solo 2. It was like, okay, we have Solo done to a point where, and it was this striking the balance between ready to fly out of the box and simple, completely built out of the box. There's no construction necessary. Like your kind of do-it-yourself home kits where you can put different payloads on. We wanted this to be ready to fly right out of the box with live HD streaming to your phone, HDMI output from the controller, but have that ability to grow over time. And so when we finished Solo, we didn't start working on Solo 2. We started working on all of the additional software we wanted, all the additional smart shots, the augmented reality, the smart RTL, and then that's on the software side. And then our hardware teams were working with partners on, creating new cameras and new, tethers and parachutes and 3D, 360 rigs. And so, to me, it's like looking at different use cases, right? And I was talking to someone yesterday that does search and rescue, and he started kind of putting together all these pieces in his head, and it's kind of like, wait a second. So we could take a Solo and then put a FLIR, thermal camera on it, and then have it tethered to, say, a Honda generator in the back of a pickup truck, right? Flying 100 feet over the truck, using follow me mode to the iPad that would be, on the dash, and then turn on free look, so it's not just looking at the truck. You can look around wherever you want, yet the GPS device keeps Solo above the truck, or out to the side looking down into the woods or whatever off of a cliff, and you could be driving along at 15, 20 miles an hour and just scanning thermal imagery to the either side of your vehicle. And I mean, he's like, you don't realize how incredible, like how groundbreaking this is. One person could be driving a truck, looking at an iPad mini or something like that and getting a thermal image directly. I mean, it's crazy, so it's all about combining all the different technology and the different pieces of hardware to solve for whatever you're trying to accomplish.
It was interesting, the United States, I'm not sure if it was not the military, but I believe it was FEMA, was looking for anyone, a company, an individual who could create a drone that could take off from a truck, could do a search and rescue pattern with FLIR sensors. They were specifically thinking about using this for, say, flood relief or for hurricane recovery, and then report back to the truck and be a one-man search and rescue team. And I was thinking when they released that proposal,
I didn't see
was
that. We could definitely do
that.
that.
Wait a minute, you can do that right now with a Solo.
We can do that right now with a Solo.
And okay, for the folks who maybe did not watch our 2015 NAB special and they didn't see all the capabilities, because we actually demonstrated. This wasn't just talk. This was you showing me in the cage. One of the prime features of the Solo is the fact that you have multiple computers on board. And I think this is one of the keys to the flexibility of the platform.
Yep.
You can dedicate one computer just to flying the Solo. It keeps it in the air, it makes sure it does all the things that it needs to do not to fall out of the sky. And then you can dedicate one computer for the mission. And it could be, I want you to fly this wire back and forth and keep your camera pointed in this direction. Or, as you said, it could be reprogrammed to do search and rescue. Now it's interfacing with my FLIR sensor, or it's interfacing with my LiDAR sensor.
That's right.
You really wanted to make sort of the Lego for drone hobbyists.
That's right. And we knew even when we first started developing it, a couple of years ago now, that, the use cases for drones are going to be expanding beyond what we know even people are going to want to do with them, right? And, so we wanted to have a platform that would be flexible enough to be used for, agriculture and construction and creating 3D models or photo mosaics, but then maybe you take it on the weekend and get some nice looking video of your vacation, so it's something that can be used, just like you said, it's the Lego of drones, so you can, really customize it to whatever your use case is. And, and that's kind of our segment of the market, right? I mean, I tell customers and I tell our resellers all the time, there's no one drone that solves it all. And so I'm not going to say Solo's the best drone. It's just Solo might be the best drone for certain use cases. If somebody walks into your store and says, I just want a drone to fly around in my backyard and see from the sky, well, Solo might be overkill for them. Yeah. There's a lot of low-cost drones that are just have a camera and fly around. You get a nice live feed, and they're a great deal. But if somebody's wanting to, come in and say, look, I want to do work with my drone. I want to create content. I want to create shots, and I want to move on to the next location. Okay, well, that's Solo, and that's what we're really developing for, is people that are using their drone more for a purpose.
My know-how co-host Brian Burnett, the Cranky Hippo, is currently running our TriCaster. But we get questions all the time from our audience, because we build drones on our show of, well, what's the drone for me? And it's always it's a difficult question to ask, because the answer is you should have multiple drones. You should have your first drone, which is the nearly indestructible one, because you have to learn how to fly. Then get yourself a slightly more capable drone, maybe a racing drone, which is going to be different than the drone that carries your camera.
Yes.
And I think you're absolutely right. Anytime a manufacturer comes out and says, this is the only drone you need, inevitably they're wrong.
Yeah.
But Solo's coming out and saying, hey, you know what? Once you've grown up past the toys and you want to do some work, we've got a platform that we think you could, if you've got the skill and the inclination, you could make it do exactly what you want it to do.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. Is that, if you have the inclination and you're willing to say, okay, what combination of hardware can I use? Like, wow, I can pair this new smart shot with this tether, with this new sensor, and I can accomplish exactly what I'm looking to accomplish without having to go out and try to get some custom thing developed. And so, yeah, it just keeps getting more flexible, literally every month. And there's a lot of hardware partners we're working with right now that we aren't showing their stuff at the show this year because it's a few months out still.
Right.
But there are lots of software and lots of hardware that's still being worked on that will be coming out throughout the course of this year that's just going to keep making solo more powerful. You know, I can say that, you know, it's going to be another calendar year until there's a whole new platform. You know, we are going to keep making solo better.
I'm speaking with Colin Gwynn from 3DR. He is, I think, their best advocate. He is the man who has grown up with drones. He has really started this industry back with your previous company, who we won't mention. You can Google it if you like.
It's fine.
You know, you've been at the forefront of the cutting edge of drone technology as it's made the transition from oddity to real commercial useful tool.
Sure.
Could you please tell our audience where they can find out more about the Solo, where they can find out more about 3DR, and definitely where they might be able to finally see one, to try one, to look at the capabilities?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. So 3dr.com is a good starting point. Our website, 3dr.com. You can check out the Solo there. You know, see lots of different videos, and then also, you know, what we really like is for, you know, customers to go in and talk to somebody about it and see it in person. And so we've taken, you know, having a good retail presence worldwide very seriously. And so we've got these really cool point of sale kiosks that actually have a simulator built in, and you can fly the Solo in the store, you know, in this simulated environment. And, you know, there's different buttons that play the different videos that really try to educate the customer about what this platform is. And so, you know, Best Buys, REI, Dick's Sporting Goods, Cabela's, all, you know, camera shops, B&H, Adorama, Precision, Sammy's, you know, so all over the camera chains. Obviously, hobby shops carry them as well. So, you know, really we're kind of all over the place. But you can start at 3dr.com and do the dealer locator, find out, you know, somewhere that's in your country or your area where you can go see one in person.
Colin, thank you so very much for spending time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I know our audience is excited by your product because they've been asking for this kind of a platform for the longest time. I know my co-host and I we're chomping at the bit to finally get one of these in the air. I mean, after last year, it was a teaser.
Yeah.
And again, best of luck to you, and please continue to develop tools for this platform that we love.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
It's been a long day here at the Live View booth at NAB 2016. We've been speaking with guest after guest with fantastic announcements, with awesome technology, and just some of the things that are going to make life easier for those people who produce content. Now, if you are a content producer, if you live your life going from one video to the next, one broadcast to the next, or if you're an aspiring podcaster who's looking to start out in this brand new world of broadcasting, you're going to want to stay tapped because we've got more. This is only day 2 of NAB. We're coming back tomorrow to bring you even more, so you've got to check us out. Remember, that's twit.tv/specials. Until next time, I'm Father Robert Ballecer signing off for the entire TWiT crew, saying goodbye from NAB 2016, day 2.